You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408, 312-255-8408. Also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. And Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral in Chicago, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director. Good morning, Mark. How was your weekend?
It was eventful.
Never a dull moment.
One of the highlights was having breakfast with two of our parishioners, Grace and Wynn. We had a wonderful visit. They're just great
salt
people.
Salt of the earth. Very active in the cathedral and salt of the earth.
When you start to realize all the talent that's in parishes, as you start to, and they all love their parish, and it all comes from their deep faith, which is really inspiring to me.
I always tell the community, you are the church, and together we are the body of Christ. We need a beautiful building like the cathedral. Is gorgeous, going back to 1875, dedicated, the cathedral. But it's the people. It's inside the beautiful structure. You are the church, and together we are the body of Christ.
And here's a line I heard yesterday. My wife, Mary, and I went to dinner with my sister-in-law, Mary, and my brother, David. And when your younger brother says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be 65 in October," your younger brother's a senior citizen. It puts it all in a perspective.
My younger brother Adrian turned 65 last month.
Yeah, so
I'll be 70 this month.
Yeah,
so
we have siblings that are senior citizens. God help us.
Anyway. And also the weather is incredible. Saturday, yesterday, today, this week. This is like early, mid-March weather.
Now, yes.
And we are in early February, and nobody can say it's been a brutal winter by way of snow. We've had a few cold days. This is going down one of the easiest winters so far. Now, we can still get pounded rest of February and all through March and even April, maybe even July. But for the most part, it has not been a tough winter at all. And big weekend, folks. Super Bowl Sunday coming up. Kansas City versus Philadelphia. Evenly matched game.
Even same amount of wins, right? Didn't they have the same amount?
I think Philadelphia might have one more. They might be tied. But again, it's two tough teams with different styles. So great program again, 312-255-8408.
We forgot one thing.
What?
That our wonderful donor, Carol Christensen, and a contingency from Holy Name went to Rome, presented our Pope with a miniature of our Mother Cabrini statue. You had written the Pope a letter, and we also sent a picture of the dedication of the statue. And there was a picture in our bulletin of Carol handing him the statue, and actually he held her hand. It was beautiful.
And also, for those that saw the bulletin, Carol's facial expression, you thought she was having an apparition.
Yeah, exactly.
You could not duplicate that facial expression in 1,000 years.
And it was one of her dreams. One of her dreams.
So it was just incredible. So I forgot about that. So congratulations. Also include our own dentist,
Father Ramil,
and also Father Ramil Fajardo. So formerly known as the St. Francis Retreat House in Oak Brook, Illinois, Mayslake Ministries is a lay-led 501c3 Catholic Christian not-for-profit spirituality center founded by Father Jonathan Foster, Franciscan, in 1991 as a retreat house without walls. Since 91, Mayslake Ministries has served the spiritual needs of Catholic Christian adult women and men from all walks of life, providing multiple spiritual opportunities for people who seek a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ. Mayslake Ministries are proud partners in faith with the Archdiocese of Chicago, the Diocese of Joliet, and the Diocese of Rockford. Join us today, again backed by popular demand, talk about some Lenten programs at Mayslake Ministries is Dr. Mary Amore. Mary, good morning. Welcome to the program once again.
Welcome.
Good morning, Father. Hi, how are you? Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Good to see
Great.
you.
Now, Mary, you have been on this program. Your first year goes back how many years on this program? About what?
15 years. I came on the
15
first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
How come you're looking younger?
Because we're looking older.
Because we're older. You're looking younger. So you've been you have
right behind
been
you there.
you have been there for 15 years at Mayslake Ministries. Amazing.
It's been life-giving, really. And you know this. Both of you are. It's it's a vocation. And when you're lucky enough and blessed enough to discover what God wants you to do, it isn't a job. It really is just a way of life.
Now, let me ask you this. You use the word, it is life-giving. What makes it life-giving where you enjoy going to work in the morning, but it's not work, it's a ministry, it's a life?
You know, I think every day I know that I'm going to encounter people, and that through Jesus using me, that I can lead them closer to Christ, even just one step, or just help them some way. And helping people, is just the greatest way to live your life. Whether you're helping them, with a food pantry, or helping them spiritually, helping build houses. When you can help someone else, you put your head on the pillow at night and you feel like you've done God's work. So
Now, it's interesting because Friday I had two occasions where I was speaking with a parishioner and then another professional in ministry. But both times I thought I would like to refer them to a spiritual director. I'm sure many people in parishes, many people working in parishes feel that way, and many parishes can't really afford to have a spiritual director on staff. How does that work with Mayslake in terms of if I'm in that situation on Friday, how can you help me?
Mark, we offer, we have 45 spiritual directors on staff, and we really do take parish ministry serious, and because people burn out.
Yeah.
They burn out because they're not in the right avenue. They could be the right ministry, but maybe they've been given tasks that really are not within the gifts that God's given them. So for them to seek spiritual direction, we are here to help them. We can offer discounted prices for people that work in parish ministry, because I know budgets are tight, salaries are, not that much. And so we're always willing. We never turn anyone away because of money.
Even back it up, Mary. If someone were to ask, what is spiritual direction? It is not counseling. It is not psychotherapy. No. So what is and what is not spiritual direction?
Okay, for your listeners. So spiritual direction is really sitting with a spiritual director. And, it's a misnomer. They're not going to tell you what to do. What they do is they help you discover the movement of the Holy Spirit in your life right now. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're going through, no matter what difficulty you're experiencing, God is there. And a spiritual director is there to help you unpack that. And when you tap into that spiritual reality that, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. God is here to help me through this. It's just like turning on the light bulb in a dark room. And people that start spiritual direction really, really enjoy going to it because it's a way of discussing their faith life with someone that really understands their journey.
See, one way I also put is that many times people's life, they feel it's crumbling, they're overwhelmed, there's darkness. And I always ask people, in all of this, where is God in all of this? And what you're going through, because they just feel that they're so just overwhelmed, and sometimes you feel that life is out of control. I say, okay, with what you're going through, the death of a spouse, loss of a job, the house burned down, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Where is God in all of this? 'Cause people have said to me, God has abandoned me. God is not
No.
there. And I always say, no. God is always present. We're the ones who sometimes can walk away from God. Now, we may feel that God has abandoned us, but nothing could be further from the truth.
Right, and you're human.
Exactly.
And your prayer is always, you never say at a meeting or anywhere, let's place ourselves in the presence of God, because you say we're already there.
To be aware of the God who's already present within us. And a lot of times in confession, one-on-one, also say to someone, be nicer to you.
Mm-hmm.
So be nicer to Mary, be nicer to Mark, be nicer to Joe, because we're sometimes so hard on ourselves. And when I say that to people, it's like, wow, be nicer to myself. No one's ever said that before. And when you think about it, it's so logical. We're sometimes so nice to other people, but we're tough on ourselves.
Now, maybe this may be a little odd question, but so the Franciscans started this place, correct?
Back in 91.
Yeah. What's their charism that caused them to see this as important for our church and for our folks?
Excellent question, Mark. The way I understand it, obviously I wasn't there when that happened, but they were a retreat house. And Franciscans are known for, finding God everywhere. I mean, that is one of their charisms. And so, to be able to create a ministry that was, in the light of Vatican II, Father Jonathan was very, intentional about making this a lay-led ministry, because it's the laity ministering to the laity. Of course,
wow.
with clergy and religious we have associated with us. But, again, it is just helping people discover God. You're sitting on your front porch and the sun goes down and you go, oh my gosh, that's an experience of God. If you can realize that God's the creator of the beauty you're seeing. So I think that's the Franciscan charism that this was founded with.
I think part of it is for the Franciscan ministry, their whole way of life is through simplicity, nature, connecting the mystery of God with our lives, that God is everywhere. And sometimes we look for him in big, spectacular ways, but then that the simplicity of the Franciscan way of life, in the wind, in seeing a bird, in a sunset, is through some beautiful simplicity of life. But sometimes we miss the obvious because we're so busy looking in all the wrong places.
And it's within my wife and I were clicking around one Sunday morning, and there's Oprah Winfrey interviewing Richard Rohr about I could not believe it. And his book, his latest book, which I can't remember the title of, talks exactly what we're talking about: creation, finding God in everything, even in those difficult moments. And I thought, oh my God, Oprah, and I'm not saying good old Oprah, but I'm saying it became a contemporary way of thinking about God in mass media, which is so important.
So much needed. Take us to break,
Anyway,
Mark.
well, let's take a little break. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. When we come back, let's ask Mary a little bit about, as we're looking at their programs, they're talking about saints and Eucharist and different things that will interest our listeners and viewers. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities invites you to First Look for Charity, an extraordinary black tie evening at McCormick Place on Friday, February 10th. Enjoy an elegant private reception and be among the first to explore the latest in automotive innovation at the Chicago Auto Show. Your ticket also gives you the chance to win either a 2023 Honda CR-V or a 2023 Subaru Crosstrek. As you register, please select Catholic Charities so a portion of your ticket purchase benefits those we serve. Join us at First Look for Charity on Friday, February 10th. Visit CatholicCharities.net to get your tickets today.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
We're back, WNDZ 750 AM Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're with Dr. Mary Amore from from Mayslake Ministries. Mary, question I had, because you had mentioned before maybe parishes don't have staffs to handle some of these spiritual issues. What about a retreat? So if a parish wants to come to your place for a retreat, how does that work? Do you have turnkey, or do they work with you, or how does that work?
Okay, we don't have overnight facilities at Mayslake Ministries. So what we usually do for people is we will do like a Friday night and then all day Saturday. Oh. So they go home and sleep in their own beds. You know, it's more cost efficient for them. But I mean, if they really want a weekend experience, we have relationships with retreat houses. We put on the retreat, but we go to an overnight facility and they have food and bed.
Oh, so so I'm saying if Holy Name were thinking about a retreat like that, we could work with you, but it could be an overnight.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Interesting.
What kind of off the top of your head, what kind of themes you think makes sense for a retreat? Like Eucharist is what we're talking about is particularly this year. Or I like that idea you're talking about how do we make saints? Mm-hmm. And I remember a priest in the archdiocese at a wedding. There was a woman going to elect her. She was in the congregation, and he said, Saint Bridget, come on up and read. Saint Bridget. He called people saints, and because we don't image ourselves that way.
No, but we should. We're saints in the making. I think that was.
Talk to my wife. I'm not sure she'd agree with. I'm not sure my wife would agree with you, but.
Well, we're in the making.
Oh, in the making.
That is funny.
We're restoring our women's teas. They're on Saturday afternoons, and our first one's going to be a Lenten tea on March 4th from 12 to 2 at Mayslake Ministries. And we've got Lauren Nelson, who's going to be talking about saints on the journey and walking with the holy men and women awaiting sainthood.
Okay.
So she's going to explore the 4-step process to sainthood. First is servant of God, venerable, blessed, and then canonization. And I think most people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes for someone to become a canonized saint. So she's going to be exploring that, and then also helping people kind of pair up with a new saint in the making so that they can pray with them as Lent goes on. So
I see right here it says
an excellent speaker.
So that would be
Beautiful.
March 4th. Who's this now?
She's my daughter.
Your daughter?
Yep. The apple did not fall far from the tree. Lauren
Wow.
Nelson, right?
That's
She's
amazing. So like mother, like daughter.
Yeah.
That is good.
She's
So that-
actually full-time DRE at Holy Spirit Parish in Naperville.
Oh, that is true. So
Oh,
it reads
wow.
Lauren Nelson, Saturday, March 4th, noon until 2 p.m. at Ascension of Our Lord Catholic Church in Oakbrook Terrace. And to register on our website, mayslakeministries.org, or by phone, 630-852-9000, 630-852-9000, $20 per person. Correct?
So
Yes.
Great.
We'll have some
Marion,
tea and cake.
in your life, who's a saint you ran into?
Enough about me, okay?
Enough about Father Greg, but yeah, someone else.
Oh my gosh. I've never met a canonized saint.
No.
But I have, I too many people to mention. I mean, people that have really formed me along the way, and I could see the holiness of that individual. In many ways, I would have to say my parents were saints to me. My dad really instilled the Catholic faith in me. I mean, that was it. He was the Irish Catholic man who was responsible for who I am today.
Wow.
And my mom, I like to think I got all of her wonderful qualities of acceptance and kindness, forgiveness, and so, I can honestly say my parents were saints in the making, and I pray every day that they are up there watching over
Now,
us.
if your parents were alive today, Mary, how old would your mother and father be today?
Oh my gosh, I think that my mom was born in 1914.
Wow.
So she'd be 109.
Nice.
And then my dad was born in 1910. So he'd be
113. See, my mother would have been 100 last December. My dad would have been 100 this May.
My parents would be 97 and 96.
You realize how fast the years go by. Now, give us, for just in the last 6-7 minutes here, Mary, what are some of the Lenten programs? Brag about all that's going on, because we could spend a full hour. We don't have that today. But what's coming up in the near future for people to register and be part of it, Mayslake Ministries?
We've got a really great program we're starting. Besides the Eucharist, which is for parishes, we've got this program, and it is called Friday Afternoon Faith Club, spiritual fitness for people 55 and older. And, I get phone calls all the time where people are newly retired, or they're discerning retirement, and they go, well, what's next? What am I supposed to do? And so I love the scripture passage, the gospel story of Wedding Feast of Cana, where Jesus changed water into wine. And then the waiter said, well, most people serve, the good wine first, but you have saved the best till last. And that's the whole crutch of this program for 55 and older. Have we saved the best for last? And I think
I like
if we
that.
draw on our life experience and our wisdom and God, we can say that, yes, going forward, our retirement years will be the best we've had.
But also along those lines, to let the Lord surprise you. What do I mean? That great line from that Lenten song, life is what happened while I was making other plans. We think we're in control, but all of a sudden life comes along. Even take the word life. L-I-F-E. Contained within the word life is the word if, smack in the word life. So we're not in control, but to be open to the Spirit. I mean, if, I think you talk to anybody from 30, 40 years ago where the Lord has led them to this day, they never dreamed it would have gone to this point at this time in their life. And that you have to be open to new doors and possibilities and let God surprise you. What else do you have coming up at Mayslake Ministries?
With that program, we also have, the Eucharist program is entitled Encountering Jesus in the Eucharist, Becoming the Very Mystery We Receive. We're also publishing a book, 365-day devotional by our Sunday visitor on the Eucharist for the Eucharistic revival. So I actually wrote that all by myself.
Did you really?
Wow.
Now, give me
Eucharist is just my.
Is it a day-by-day Eucharistic reflection?
A daily devotional, right? So that every morning people can wake up, like every day with Mary, every day with Joseph. This is every day with Jesus, but encountering him in the Eucharist, becoming the very mystery that we receive.
Now tell people how they can find those.
How can they pick up a copy of the book?
Well, the book it's not coming out, I believe, till summer. It's in the publishing process now by our Sunday visitor, but it's done. And you know what? It really is a treasury of experiences of Eucharist that really will light the fire of people and tap into their experience of Jesus in the Eucharist. So,
and it's interesting because grace begins with gratitude. What are you grateful for, Mary?
What am I grateful for?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that I got up today with air in my lungs and upright.
That's a good start.
We take that so for granted.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm really grateful for the ministry work that I do, that God has given me the opportunity and the wherewithal to do all this. I mean, you grow up, no one's born a theologian, or someone who just absolutely loves the Eucharist. That was a process that I continually had to say yes to God, yes to God, yes to God. And I feel so grateful and humbled that I can to be a vessel for him like that.
Beautiful.
Now, in the last minute, for people to learn more about Mayslake Ministries, again, give us the website and the phone number, Mary.
Our website is MayslakeMinistries.org, and our phone is 630-852-9000.
And number once again.
630-852-9000.
And maybe any program people should look forward to coming up this summer through Mayslake Ministries.
We haven't gotten our summer programs yet, but just keep checking back. Check our beautiful website. It's brand new and it's constantly being updated. So there's a program for you. And, in the meantime, please call us for spiritual direction. It's just a great gift you can give yourself. Started for Lent, instead of giving up candy, begin spiritual direction, and you will see how your life will begin to deepen with Christ.
For Lent, I'm giving up Mark Teresi. Again, the phone number is 630-852-9000 for Mayslake Ministries. Mary, I want to thank you once again for being a guest on the program. We'd love to have you on. Your enthusiasm, your joy, your faithfulness, you just exude it, day in and day out, and our prayers are with you. God bless you, because 2 weeks from Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, the whole Lenten journey, time of repentance, forgiveness, new chances, new beginnings. So God bless you, and have a wonderful Lenten journey. With Dr. Mary Moore has been our guest the first half hour. I'm Father Greg Sackwitz, along with Mark Teresi on Catholic Chicago, WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408. Also get us on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back for part 2. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The Cemetery Ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408. Also get us on YouTube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sackwitz along with Mark Teresi. Mark, that was a wonderful first half hour with Mary. She's a delightful guest and a woman of faith.
And she's a great ambassador for Mayslake Ministries. I mean, you want to know more about Mayslake because of her. And
her enthusiasm and joy and willing to walk with people in different walks of life and taking people where they're at invite them to a new level. But we also have a second great half hour lined up. Mm-hmm. The Bare Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation is dedicated to supporting pediatric cancer research to ultimately discover a cure while helping patients and their families today, bringing hope and joy to those in need. Joining us for the second half of our program today is the president and founder of Bare Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation, Kathleen Casey, an active member of the Cathedral in Chicago here at Holy Name, and also Kate Tillotson, the CEO of Bare Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation. Kathleen and Kate, welcome to the program this morning. How are you?
Thanks, Father Greg. How are you?
Doing fine, thanks. How's Greg doing, Kathleen?
He's doing well. He's playing baseball right now. And
Wait, time out. Greg's playing baseball?
Yes, he's still playing hardball, and he just retired. So he's out there right now. We're down in Florida, and he's having a good time, and he's playing hardball.
God
in
bless
a senior men's league. It's really fun to watch.
What position does Greg play?
Third base.
Wow. Because I'm former shortstop, third baseman, but my God, my playing days are long over. I was playing 16-inch men's softball. Never.
Okay.
But he's playing hardball.
He is.
Good for him. Wow. And now, Kate, where are you calling from?
I'm from Chicago, so I'm in Chicago right now. So I'm envious a little bit of Kathleen and Greg, who are in Florida during this cold weather.
Now, Kate, are you Chicago born and raised?
I am.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Maine West High School.
Are you kidding me? My brother and sisters went to Maine South, and I was at
really?
Notre Dame in Niles.
Oh, great. So we were neighbors.
Were you in Des Plaines?
I was.
Oh, my gosh. I was in Park Ridge.
My wife's a Maine South grad, too.
Yeah, small world there. Now, as we get into this program for a moment, Kathleen, you are the CEO, president. No, take it back. Kate's the CEO. You're the president, founder. But please, I know it's a tough story, but how was this whole ministry program founded? What took place in your life?
Well, when my son was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with Wilms tumor, which was at that time supposed to be the most curable form of pediatric cancer. Unfortunately, his name was Bear Krupa, but we called him Bear, and he just fell into those bad statistics. He continued to relapse one time after another. And it was Bear himself sitting in a hospital room seeing, we went from several different hospitals, and he saw so many children who really didn't have friends coming in to visit or people to bring gifts or even just, a snack. And so he really was instrumental in saying, Mom, let's do something for other kids. And it was really sweet because I said, well, Bear, you're sick. And he said, I know, but we have things and people come to visit us. I want to do something to help these other kids who don't have anything. So that's how Bear Necessities started.
And Bear was how old at the time?
When this happened, it was further on in his treatment. So he was about 8 years old when he started to really want to help other people.
So here he was battling cancer himself, but seeing children around him without gifts or people present. As an 8-year-old, went to that extreme.
Very much so. He saw that, so many kids, and he said, I can still go out and play. So many kids are here stuck in the hospital. And he asked about a rocking chair that was in our hospital room at the time. And there was a plaque on that rocking chair. And it said, in memory of a little girl. And he said, well, why would someone do something like that? And I said, because that was something that was very meaningful for their family. So she wanted to give back, even though she passed away. And they put a rocking chair in the hospital in her name so that she could do something. And it was at that point that Bear said, well, I want to help other kids. How can we help other kids? What can we do? And that's when we really founded Bear Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation. He, of course, had, always had a little sneaker in him, and he said, well, it has to have my name in it. So
yeah, please name this after me.
Starting this was, the Bear Necessities, and that's where we, really started everything and helping children and their families and ultimately funding research as well. So it was a little 8-year-old's idea because he cared so much for others and especially for the children, but he really didn't see that he himself was in, a very challenging time in his life.
And how long did Bear battle cancer?
5.5 years. So he passed away when he was 8.5.
Wow. That's just, and I just know that no parent should ever bury a child. We bury our parents at a ripe old age, but no parent, no matter the age, should ever bury a child. And now, Kate, how did you get involved with Kathleen in Bear Necessities?
So I actually came to Bear Necessities first as a consultant. So it was in the middle of the pandemic, COVID-19. Obviously, it was a really challenging time for so many organizations. And Bear Necessities, I don't want to say they were struggling, but just like so many nonprofits, they really had to reconsider, how to deliver these programs to children and families battling cancer. They had to look at, how to fundraise when you couldn't host fundraising events in person. So I came to meet Kathleen and the staff and the board during this tough, challenging time. And I absolutely fell in love. That's what I tell everyone. When I, came to Bear Necessities as a consultant, I really fell in love with the mission. Kathleen was incredibly inspiring. Obviously, I heard the story about Bear and how, the organization started, the legacy, and I really was moved just by what a difference Bare Necessities made to children and families. And so I worked very closely with Kathleen for a year, got to know everyone else who was involved with the organization. And I'm really proud to say that we ended that first year very well during COVID. And that was because so many people really saw the difference that Bare Necessities makes. And they came together, supported the organization, wanted to donate, were very generous, and we never had to turn a child or family away. We still helped families during that time. Obviously, we couldn't create, as many in-person experiences, but we still were there to support the family. And then, through different conversations, I learned that Kathleen, the organization is 30 years old. She's been doing this really hard, amazing work for 30 years. And she shared with me that she was ready to take a step back. She still very much wanted to be involved, obviously still a leader of the organization, but was looking for, a transition. And that's when we started to have the conversations about, the future of Bare Necessities. And basically, I shared that I would love to be involved in some way. Kathleen told me that she could see me being a good fit. And then we went from there. So July 1st of last year is when I officially came on board as the CEO. And it's just been such a joy, honestly. I'm really honored to be part of this organization and knowing, again, like just the work that we do, talking to families, talking to the parents, seeing the photos of the kids, meeting the kids, it brings so much joy into my life. And they're so inspiring because, as you were saying, no child deserves to go through this.
Right.
And seeing their bravery and their courage and kindness, it makes me want to be a better person. And that's no exaggeration. So
that's wonderful.
That's terrific. That's wonderful. Yeah. Thanks for that sharing, Kate.
Now, Kathleen, I'm sure Bear's spirit is infused in the foundation. What have you noticed? How is he still present to you in terms of what the work that you're doing?
It's really interesting, and he definitely is a part of it, a big part of it. I always wish that he could stand on that stage with me and speak on behalf, but inspiration comes to me when I feel sometimes I'm lost as what to say in certain instances, and I just think about him, and it just comes clear that why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that all the things that happen, I just know he's watching over. He does. I keep asking him, could you make it a little easier for me?
No way, Mom. No way.
Yeah, I really feel that how Kate happened into our lives, and when Kate said she came to meet us, it was all via Zoom. So I hired Kate without ever having met her in person.
Wow.
And when we were talking with the board and with consultants about a succession plan, they said, think of the people, think of someone that you would want to take over Bare Necessities. And I kept thinking of people, and I really couldn't come up with the right person. And so in working with Kate, and she was being very, not saying enough about herself, we couldn't have made it through that COVID year because she taught me how to change things up from the way we had been doing, because we could not hold an event.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when you're saying, okay, continue to raise your money and how are you going to do it? Kate knew different ways than I did and how we could do that. And so by working together, we were able, as she mentioned, to be able to continue to serve these children. But I have to think that Bear played a big part in bringing Kate into my life, because I could not think of anyone. And after working with Kate for about 3 or 4 months, I thought, well, this is the kind of person that I think would have the passion, wouldn't be here to just get the title and get the name, but somebody that would truly help me carry on Bear's wishes of, helping other children in many different ways. So I see him come through in a lot of times in a lot of places, or I'll see a child and I'll think, wow, he sounds like Bear, or he looks like Bear. And then, you just see the inspiration that all these kids bring to us to want to do more for them, because they are amazing. they're strong, and many of them have great faith, and that's what's getting them through what they're going through.
Great.
That's what helped bear tremendously.
And maybe, Father Greg, you have that saying about there are no accidents in terms of.
Oh yeah. In fact,
why don't we take that and then we'll go to break?
Yeah, the best definition of coincidence. A coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. I love it. A coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Mark, take us to break.
WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back and we'll be talking more with Kathleen Casey, Kate Tillotson about the Bare Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation and what programs and resources are available to our listeners who are living with a child who is suffering with cancer. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Community is core to Catholic Charities' founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back.
Es fabuloso verlos.
Dobrze jest znowu być razem.
It's good to be together again.
After so many months apart, pandemic capacity limits have been lifted, and we want to welcome everyone back to church. We can all pray together again. And listen as our choirs lift their voices in song.
We've been together in spirit.
And now, when you are ready, our doors are open wide.
Nuestras puertas están abiertas de par en par.
Nasze drzwi są otwarte.
And we're here to welcome you back to Catholic Mass.
For more than 20 years, Catholic Charities Adult Protective Services has been advocating for seniors who are the victims of abuse, neglect, confinement, or financial exploitation. With our partners at local, city, and state agencies, our trained case managers follow through on every concern that is brought to our attention in a cooperative way to ensure that our seniors are safe and protected. According to the Illinois Department on Aging, last year nearly 21,000 cases of elder abuse were reported in Illinois. Of these, only 5% were reported by seniors themselves. So raising awareness is an important part of this issue. If you are concerned about a senior you know, call 800-252-8966. That's 800-252-8966. With your help, we can stop elder abuse and look out for the seniors in our lives.
We're back. WNDZ 750 AM Catholic Chicago 312-255-8408. Or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're speaking with Kathleen Casey, President, Founder of the Bare Necessities Pediatric Cancer Foundation, and the new partner and CEO, Kate Tillotson. I'm curious, how do people connect with your organization? Because they'll be connecting at a very difficult time in their lives. So either of you or both of you, could you share that?
Sure, I'll start off on that. We have relationships with all the hospitals that have pediatric oncology departments in the Chicago area. So we work with the social workers, the child life specialists. So we have one person on staff that builds those relationships with those wonderful, talented people that work with the children on a daily basis. So they place the referrals. So the referrals come into us, verifying that these children are in treatment, that they're from the age of 0 to 19, and that they're currently undergoing treatment for some form of pediatric cancer. And at that point, then our executive director of programs takes that and works with the family directly, or we have a group of volunteers that do that. So they'll call the families, they'll talk to the families, see what the child's interested in, everything from what team do they like, but what's something really special that they would like to have happen. And as Kate mentioned, we couldn't do events before. So now we're able to actually go back to a meet and greet at a Bears game with a Bears player possibly, or with a Bulls player, or they can go get a makeover at Mario Tricocci is a wonderful supporter of ours, and he'll do makeovers for young ladies and their mom or something, just to really make them feel good about themselves and feel so much better. So that's how the process starts. And we could tell you stories over and over about incredible bear hugs, we call them, that have taken place for these children. But there's also a financial piece for our families, and that is to help them through. They're eligible for $500 per diagnosis. And it helps with just as we say, the bare necessities. They can buy groceries, they can pay an outstanding bill, it can help with their rent or their mortgage, or get their car fixed so they can get to treatment for their child. So we have that available, and the bear hugs are available each time a child is eligible, each time they unfortunately are diagnosed with cancer. So many of our children are diagnosed, more and more times they relapse. So there's always nice to have something special to look forward to. But the bear hugs are just tremendous. And I know firsthand, it doesn't take a lot to bring hope and joy into these children's lives.
Kate, I want to hear more about program, but what's one story that drew you in? Because your heart and soul are now involved in this ministry. Well, can you think of a story that really drew you in?
Touched your life?
Absolutely. It was one of the first stories that Kathleen shared with me, actually, and I was so struck by it. So it was a child that Bare Necessities had worked with earlier, and unfortunately, he had relapsed and was not doing well. And the hospital, called Bare Necessities directly because they knew that we respond quickly, that we get to families fast. And basically this child and his mom wanted to have a meal together in the hospital because they didn't have much time together. And they wanted to have surf and turf. And the mom had said that she had never eaten surf and turf before. To them, this was a really, special, elegant meal. And so, the team at Bare Necessities, of course, got this meal, got it specially delivered, and they were able to eat this together. And shortly afterwards, unfortunately, the child did pass away, but the mom had said how much this meal meant to them. And the fact that, again, it's something relatively small, right? It's not that expensive, it's something relatively easy to do, but that we were there for this family and made such a deep impact and gave them this lasting, beautiful memory together. It just really moved me. It really touched me hearing this, just knowing that, like Kathleen said, small things really do go a long way. Mm-hmm. And also just reminding me how, again, easy it is for all of us to make a difference and to help these kids and families. And something else I've heard from parents, now that I've been with the organization for, 2 years, 2.5 years, if you include my consulting days. But I remember one conversation I had with a father that really touched me. He said, as a dad, it's really hard for me to ask for help. I want to be the one who's, the provider, who's supporting the family. And so when I first heard about Bare Necessities, I was kind of hesitant because I didn't want to admit that, we needed help or support. But actually, it meant the world to me to know that there were people in our corner who understood what we were going through, who we could turn to if, questions would come up, or just to be there again, to bring a little bit of joy into our lives. That really meant the world to me. And so hearing feedback like that, again, it just really inspires me. And I'll never forget that story that Kathleen told me about the surf and turf and everything else.
It's very interesting that the very first time you were on the program, Kathleen, you were on by yourself. And now to see you with Kate here, it's somehow you've, in a sense, like passed on the baton, but still very, very heavily involved. But I'm thinking to both of you right now, when Bear passed away at the age of 8.5, his death, which would have been devastating to your family to lose a son as a child, but then from that death, new life emerged because all that you are doing through Bare Necessities, well, first of all, trying to find a cure to child cancer, at the same time bringing hope to families through surf and turf, through other means, through the Tricofi. What do you call it? Tricofi?
Mario Tricofi.
Yeah, that's sort of like getting your house all
He does your hair. He does your hair.
My brothers have got wavy hair. It's waving goodbye, and it just the last half minute. If someone would like to learn more about Bare Necessities, give us a website and a phone number that they can learn more or make a donation, either Kate or Kathleen.
Sure. The website is www.bear, BEAR, Necessities, NECESSITIES.org. And the phone number is 312-214-1200.
That number one more time, Kathleen.
312-214-1200.
I want to thank in a very special way Kathleen Casey, the president, founder of Bare Necessities, Pediatric Cancer Foundation, and also Kate Tillotson, the CEO of Bare Necessities. Kate and Kathleen, you've been two wonderful guests. You incredibly work so well together, but from the work you do, hope happens, new life, a promise of tomorrow, healing, and that letting people know they're not in this alone. So to Kathleen and to Kate, thank you very much for joining us. Kathleen, please give my best to Greg and Courtney and the family. And also special thanks to co-host Mark Teresi, to Michael May, Brian Hockey Hitman Brock, to our listeners. Thank you for joining us today. God bless. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.